Hi everyone, this is Dai from EcommOps. I have an econ degree from Stanford. I have an MBA from Wharton. I run a very successful fulfillment business in EcommOps, and this is the EcommMBA Series where I take traditional business concepts and best practices and help apply it to e-commerce to help grow your business. Thank you everyone for the great feedback in the intro video. If you haven't checked it out, it's a link below. The most requested topic was how do you think about hiring and building a team in e-commerce? I actually have a ton of experience in just building teams in general. I started a bunch of companies. I built teams up to 50 or 100. I even consulted for large companies that have up to 10, 20,000 people. So I have a lot of experience here. And I'm not going to go into the exact precise details of like how you use Upwork. I mean, you can just search for that on Google. I'm really going to focus on the more strategic things that you should be thinking about, how, why, when, these things that help you think about your team. So let's go. I wanted to start this with what are some of the bad reasons to hire? Why you should not hire for these reasons. So the first reason is that you should not think about hiring simply because you just want to chill. You just want to relax. You want to hang out on the beach. I'm sure you watch guru videos, ads about how they can build you a system and you work on it 1 hour a day and you can just relax the rest of the time. They're just trying to sell you something that does not work for a growing sustainable business. I really like the book, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. But the thing is, the title is kind of misleading. It's not about how do you figure out how do you only work 4 hours per week. It's all about how do you get as efficient as possible so you can focus on other things, other projects as well. And trust me, Tim Ferriss works really, really hard. So there's a couple reasons why you should not think about it this way. So first is that good employees, and trust me, you want good employees. Good employees, they do not want to work for lazy bosses. I mean, think about it. Do you ever want to work for a boss who is just clearly checked out and clearly not making any effort in the business because 1 hour a day is not enough to run a business? And the other reason is because you as an entrepreneur, the leader of the business, like you have to lead the business, and leadership is hard and it's time consuming, and it's not the right mindset to have that hiring is somehow going to allow you just to completely chill, because that's never going to grow your business. It's never really happened. The second not good reason to hire is there is something that you absolutely do not know how to do, or you never want to learn it. Now that being fair, I mean, there's some things that you just don't know how to do, and that's fair. You know, what if you need a developer, for example? But this is where you don't hire a team. You don't hire VAs to do this for you. You find a partner or a co-founder, or you work with an agency or a service who are clearly experts at what that is, and you can focus on your core business. But by the way, though, if part of your core business is something that you don't want to do or you're not good at, then you should probably rethink if this is actually supposed to be your core business. So if you don't know how to do anything, if you don't want to do something, find a partner, not hire a team, because you're going to have no idea to actually how to hire those people and how to even manage them, and it's just not going to be a good result. And finally, the other reason not to hire is just because someone told you so. You read somewhere, oh, to have an e-com store, you need to hire, 1, 2, 3 VAs, whatever it might be, but you might not even be at the right stage to hire those people. There's no set framework exactly for you should build a business this way, and you should really focus more on the things I'm going to tell you. But for example, if you don't have enough cash flow, and what is the point of hiring a couple of VAs if you're getting like 10 orders per day and it's going to take you half an hour to answer those emails anyways? All right, so now let's talk about the reasons why you should be hiring, and this applies to any size business. So the first reason, and I think the best one, is that it helps you provides you with reach and leverage. At a certain time, a business is going to grow so much that you're just going to be so stretched that you just don't have enough time to do everything. and you are going to be the blocker holding back the growth of your business. You might be running a six-figure store and you're just working 20 hours a day maybe, and that is probably the time that you really want to hire and start outsourcing some of especially low value, time consuming work to a VA or a team of VAs. The other reason to think about hiring is you want to hire for your weakness. Now, this is not the same as the point before that you don't want to hire for something that you don't know about. You want to understand what it is that job is. However, you might just know that someone else is going to be better at it than you. For example, you run a store, you do everything yourself, but you realize that you understand how ads work in terms of creatives and copy. However, you're just not a super creative person. That is a good reason for you to hire someone more creative. You know what the job entails. You have an idea of what ad creatives are, but someone's going to be a lot more efficient who is creative doing it than you are going to be doing it. And finally, you want to be thinking about hiring for future growth. When your business is really starting to take off and all of your numbers look amazing, this is a time that you want to get ahead of the curve. You don't want to start hiring people when it's too late. The hiring process takes a while, but if everything's blowing up, you have great ROAS, and Q4 is coming up, for example, and you know that you're going to need to hire in a month or things are going to go really poorly, then you should start projecting kind of what that growth is going to be and hire for the future, even if it means an upfront investment right now. Now, obviously, again, you need to have cash flow. Your financials need to be correct in order to do this, but if it is, always want to hire for growth, hire for future growth, and plan for the future. Before you start hiring, though, this is what you need to do, and actually even when you start a new business, is that you need to understand the business that you are building, and you need to understand all of the necessary capabilities, all the functions that are required to make this business successful. And you need to start mapping it out and thinking about what those capabilities are, which I'll show you an example for e-commerce, by the way, right after this. And you need to figure out okay, I need to do this myself first. I mean, when you first start, you're most likely going to do everything yourself, but you need to understand what all these capabilities are and make sure that you either do it yourself or find a partner if you don't want to do it, and then everything else you need to have a great understanding before you even start hiring a single person. So this slide here illustrates a very common way for businesses to think about when they're starting up, what are the key capabilities that they need to make sure that they either do themselves or they eventually hire for to make this business successful. So this is an e-commerce example, but a little bit simplified. But on the front end, for example, you have stuff like marketing, Shopify stores. On the operations side, you have customer service, finance, accounting, and you have the fulfillment side, supply chain, and logistics. So this is something that a lot of businesses, when they first start, they think about all these things they need, and normal businesses, sometimes they have no choice but to actually hire as soon as possible. But the great thing about e-commerce, especially if you're dropshipping, is that you can actually just start a dropshipping business just with one person. You can do as much as you can and actually get to six figures, maybe even seven figures with just one person or just a very small team. And this is actually a good thing, because one of the things that I said before is that you want to master as much as you can in your business, or at least understand what is going on. And this is something that you want to at least make sure that first you want to map out everything that is possible, that is possibly important for your business, and try to do it all yourself, understand it yourself before you even think about the next step of hiring. But at some point, you just simply can't really do it all. And this is a slide on a simple framework of how you should think about when to do it yourself, when to start partnering, and when to start hiring out. So to explain this matrix a little bit, on the y-axis going up are things that are going to be more strategically critical to your business and your business success. On the x-axis going to the right are things that you know how to do very well, that the things that you master, or at least you are very good at managing if it's a team. So going through each of these, and by the way, this is a pretty simplified view, but on the upper left, these are the capabilities that are extremely important to the success of your business. However, you either don't know how to do it or you're just not good at it, you don't want to do it. So this is an area that you actually want to partner either with a co-founder, with an agency, or a service. And this is something that you actually might even want to do as soon as possible, because certain things, like fulfillment, for example, right? If you are a dropshipper, if you don't have a fulfillment partner, or even something like AliExpress, your business just does not work. And on the upper right, this is where things are extremely strategically important, and you can master really well. You know very, very well, and this is something that you want to keep close and you do as much as possible, especially early on. We'll talk about some details on that later. On the bottom right are things that are somewhat less strategic to your business. They might still be important, they're somewhat less strategic. However, you are very good at it, or at least you know how to manage it very, very well. And these are the capabilities that you actually want to start hiring out first. They're a little bit less important, a little bit less risky if it's not done well, and you know it well enough that you can hire and manage a good team. On the lower left, these are less strategically important activities, and they're things that you might not do very well. Now, I didn't include any of these in the capabilities list actually because I was very focused on things that are actually important. But just one example of this in e-commerce is, for example, building a fully custom website with code. This is something that, especially with Shopify, WooCommerce, it's just so easy to build a store that works really, really well, and maybe even better than most websites, without really knowing much code at all. And unless you're a developer, you probably don't know how to do this very well. So this is an area that you just probably want to deprioritize. This is not something that you want to focus in your business. Now, this slide overlaying the framework over the capabilities, then you can start seeing how you might want to make these decisions. Now, this is going to be different for everyone, by the way, but one example is that in the blue, these are the things that are critically important, and you know what you should know how to do really well, and this is something you want to keep to yourself as much as possible and do yourself. Marketing, for example, if you're not good at marketing, I mean, marketing is going to be like probably one of the most important parts of running an e-commerce store. If you're not good at it, then honestly, you might need to consider being another business, but you should be good at it, and this would be something you focus yourself on as much as possible, because this is going to be what's growing your company. And in the purple, these are things that are stuff that you should start hiring out more. Stuff like customer service, for example. It's not that customer service is not strategically important. I mean, customer service really is. However, if you don't get the marketing right, if you don't get the fulfillment right, like if you don't get the critical stuff right, customer service doesn't even matter, right? Customer service is definitely more of a supporting but very important role. And customer service is something that you should be able to manage effectively as well. So this is something that you want to hire as soon as possible as your business grows. And then you have the green, which are the ones that you should definitely partner out unless you have that experience. If you don't have legal experience, you might want to find a lawyer. If you don't have accounting experience, you might want to find an accountant. If you don't have fulfillment experience, especially if you're dropshipping, obviously you need to find a fulfillment partner. You know, someone like us, for example, we partner with e-commerce stores and build out the entire supply chain for our clients so they can focus on the marketing side. And you know, as a reminder, you know, if it's something that you don't know how to do very well and it's critically important, you don't want to just hire a team who might not also know how to do it very well. Fulfillment, for example, if you just can't possibly hire a bunch of VAs or a team that doesn't even know fulfillment, you don't know fulfillment, and just not going to work out for you. Now, with this next slide, we're trying to show that even as you start hiring, this is something that you want to do step by step, even within each capability. Let's take customer service as an example. You're gonna have a bad time if you just say, okay, I want to just like hire someone to do customer service and I don't do any of it anymore. Especially at the start, this is dangerous and it's gonna hold back your business. Instead, you want to break it up into deeper pieces and start hiring out the stuff that is going to be maybe more time consuming for you, maybe lower value, less critical to the business, and it's something that it's easy for you to manage. So here as an example, for customer service, you probably want to be setting the overall guidelines. You probably want to be setting the strategy. You probably want to be writing the scripts as well. Whereas the actual process of answering tickets, this is something that as long as you have the process set, this is something that you probably want to hire out as soon as possible because it tends to be time consuming, it tends to be repeatable, and it's something that you're going to be held back by if you don't have enough resources to answer these tickets. Now, that being said, once you start actually building out a team, you want to quickly start thinking about building up an organization, assuming your business is growing and has opportunity to scale. Because as a team gets bigger, you can't manage a team of 10, 20, or 50 people. It's just not going to be feasible. It's going to be too much of a stretch for you. And this is where you start to actually hiring entire capabilities out. And usually how you do it is that you want to either hire or promote from within. It's probably better to promote actually a leader within each of these capabilities. You might want someone who's just in charge of customer service, who might manage 3 to 5 VAs, for example. You might hire someone who is in charge of marketing. And marketing, even though it's so important for your business and it's critical and you want to have full control of it, it's still something that maybe your business is growing so fast that you really need to hire it out so you have more time to focus on strategy. And then obviously you have the partners that you continue to work with and agencies and services that are maybe not something that you can actually manage directly within your business but are still important. And then at a certain point, this is where you, as a leader and entrepreneur, you are going to step away more and more from the daily operations of everything. At some point, you want to not have to do everything. And this is not, by the way, to save you time or effort, but your job then as a leader is to actually manage and grow the organization. And without doing this, you're really going to cap your growth because there's just simply not enough time. And once you get to this level, like obviously you have some special sauce, right? I mean, you know what you're doing and you really didn't want to focus on just growing the business and growing the organization and making sure everything runs smoothly and, you have good people doing the work and managing the people doing the work. So this slide is once again the same matrix, but a little bit different now this time, right? This is where you want to be more and more. So you want to gain more expertise, gain more knowledge, and just move the boxes to the left, what you do yourself and what you hire for. One of the ways that you kind of expand the capabilities of your business. I mean, for example, maybe kind of using the same example of some custom web development, maybe you realize that, okay, Shopify has its limits and you actually want to start doing some more custom development, and maybe you actually do learn a bit more about it, hire a developer, and start actually developing some custom features on your store, and maybe that could add a lot of value. And on the right-hand side, you do want to just hire more. You want the lower right to be a bigger and bigger box. And even though that starts getting into some of the more critical areas, I mean, that's the whole point of what I just talked about in the previous slide of building an organization. The more that you can have a great team and have leadership that you can trust, the more that you can build this up so that they can manage the critical the more critical areas of your business. And you actually want to eventually want that box on top right, the blue, to be as small as possible. Again, you want to really start focusing more on the strategy. You want to still start focusing more on the growth of the company. This is basically how it works at any startup to a large corporation. everyone probably knows about, Jeff Bezos, Amazon. When he started, he was just like one guy and a small team in an office somewhere. And now, well, actually, he's not directly running the business anymore. But when he was running a business, I mean, he was not doing most of the work. Like, he was not doing any of the work, really. He was really focusing on setting the strategy. Now, obviously, Amazon is a much bigger scale, but this works at every single scale of the business. You want to try to focus on growing your team and removing yourself from the daily operations as much as possible so you can focus on business growth. And again, doesn't mean you can be lazy. That's not the point here. You're not going to be at the beach. You're going to be working all the time and managing your team and growing your business. When you start hiring, actually, there are a couple of very important principles to think about as you're hiring. The first one is that cost is not the only factor, and I'd say that it's one of the least important factors. Quality, it is really the most important thing. One superstar employee, even if there's a customer service rep, one superstar employee is better than 2, 3, even 5 mediocre employees. So a couple of reasons for this. I mean, first was reason, someone who is a star employee obviously is better than mediocre employees. However, one thing is that as an organization grows, as a team grows, more people means more process, more communications, more inefficiency, actually. And when you have people who are not pulling their weight, who are not communicating correctly, who are just slacking off, that actually makes it much, much worse. So think about how you can hire great people, because even though they're probably more expensive, you're going to have to end up hiring less of them, and it's actually going to be more efficient in terms of results. The second principle to remember is to, if you want to hire great employees, and you do, you want to give them good reasons to actually work for you. Maybe it's financial incentive, but great employees, they tend to have more options, and you want to, think about, okay, what are some, maybe like, kind of non-financial benefits, like more flexible working style, for example, more trust, responsibility, or some vision that you have, a shared vision in the company and growth in the future as well. But just think about how can you actually sell the company to them as well. Great employees have more options, so you need to figure out how do you actually sell this opportunity so they will actually work for you as opposed to someone else. The third, and very important, is think about always hiring with the long term in mind. Definitely don't just think too short term. Hiring takes a long time, and it's expensive in time and resources. And once someone is trained up, they're so valuable to your company, and you want them to stick along for a long time. So make that investment upfront. Train them well, think about the long term, and just keep them around, and they'll have increasing value to your company, especially in the future if you want to promote from within, which I always think is better than hiring some kind of manager or leader from outside. And the final principle is don't rush into it. Start early. Obviously, once you actually have the cash flow and it makes sense to, but start early. Don't give yourself 2 days to hire someone. When you want to hire great employees, like, you really have to make sure that you cast a wide net, put out a lot of Upwork posts, whatever it might be, interview a lot of people, because these employees should be staying around for the long term. They're critical to your business growth, especially the first couple employees. So you really want to be very careful and mindful and taking the time to actually find the right people that fit into your business. Don't forget, at the very end of this, you're still at the middle. You're not just at the top, you're at the middle. You're at the middle of everything. So you still have to make sure that everything is taken care of, the process is right, and the whole team is working efficiently. So I gotta say, once you start hiring people, I mean, trust me, like, you're gonna get even more and more busy if you do things right. But I mean, that's why you're watching this channel, right? That's what you're in this for. I mean, you want to focus on how to think about massive growth as opposed to just building something that might just fizz out. All right, everyone. Well, so hope that was helpful. Again, this is the EcommMBA Series. Next up, I'm planning to talk about another popular topic that people voted on, which is how do you think about launching a new product, especially a fully customized product. So that's probably going to come out in a month or so. So if you like this video and you want to see that video, make sure that you like it, you subscribe, you turn the bell button, and looking forward to providing you with more content. And EcommOps is a premium fulfillment business, so if you're interested in working with us, definitely check us out. We'll put the link below. And until next time, this is Dayu from EcommOps. See you guys later.